Right, good morning to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to the tropical update. It is a BERYL update. It's Tuesday, the 2nd of July. The time is approximately 10 past 5 in the morning here in the UK, and it is around 10 past midnight in New York and the Eastern Time. We are looking at a Category 5 Hurricane BERYL. The system did move through the lower portion of the Lesser Antilles over the last 24 hours, bringing maximum sustained winds locally at 150 miles per hour. The system briefly weakened, but had quickly regained strength and organization and has continued to intensify through the evening of Monday and into the early portions of Tuesday morning. And like I say, we are looking at a 160 mile per hour Category 5 Hurricane BERYL as it moves into the eastern Caribbean Sea and expected to make an approach on Jamaica over the next 36 hours or so. But you can see here, this is the latest infrared satellite imagery showing a very, very concentric, very, very organized, optimum intensity hurricane, the earliest Category 5 hurricane on record for the Atlantic by as much as 2 weeks, in fact. And this is a major dangerous situation that is currently in play at the moment. You can see very, very intense inflow at the surface and very broad scale and very well organized outflow in the upper levels of the system. The hurricane's exhaust, so to speak, is the outflow that we are seeing in this imagery here, and then the dark kind of angry black colors circling in a donut shape around the eye wall itself. That is where the intense winds are present within Hurricane BERYL. So let's have a look and see what the National Hurricane Center are saying about the latest information. So we've got maximum sustained winds of 140 knots or 160 miles per hour, with minimum central pressure now down to 938 millibars, located at 13.8 north, 64.9 west. Movement is west to northwesterly at around 22 miles per hour. So if we click onto the graphic here, this is the information directly from the National Hurricane Center. BERYL is forecast to remain a powerful hurricane as it moves through the Caribbean Sea later this week. Hurricane warning is now in effect for Jamaica, where hurricane conditions are expected during the course of Wednesday. So tomorrow, a tropical storm warning is also in effect for the south coast of Hispaniola. Heavy rain and flooding are possible over portions of Jamaica on Wednesday. Interest in the Cayman Islands, Belize, the Yucatan Peninsula, the remainder of the northwestern Caribbean, and the southwestern Gulf of Mexico should monitor the progress of BERYL. Additional watches and warnings will likely be required on Tuesday or Wednesday. So that is the latest information as of 11 p.m. And this is a very, very, very incredible situation here. This is the information brought by the aircraft reconnaissance, crisscrossing the structure of the system, taking all sorts of vital information through the depths and the column of the atmosphere. You can see that they did measure a surface pressure of 939 millibars here, with the maximum sustained winds in excess of 137 knots. So very, very intense situation here. These are the current sea surface temperatures of the CDAS data, and you can see here temperatures generally of 29 Celsius or 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's not just the fact that the skin temperature is optimum at 29, even locally 30 Celsius, but it's the depth of that warm water that is continuing to drive and a kind of almost endless fuel supply to the system itself here. Now, according to the GFS Ensemble here, we are going to start to see some form of weakening of Hurricane Beryl. But bearing in mind, it's a Category 5 hurricane at 160 mile per hour sustained winds. Even if it does gradually start to kind of experience maybe an intrusion of some dry air, for example, coming off Cuba, coming off Hispaniola, as the system continues to track west-northwesterly, it has some aspects atmospherically that is going to have some detrimental influence on the system. We do have a trough that's kind of digging southwards over the Bahamas, Florida, even edging down towards Cuba. Over the next 36 hours, we are going to increase a southwesterly shear, and that is going to have some weakening aspects to the system. Now, the GFS Ensemble has the system actually weakening over the next 24 to 48 hours. You notice here that the pressure goes up to 988 millibars, then 998 millibars within the next 48 hours as it makes an approach on the south side of Jamaica. Then it actually goes to 1,000 millibars seen by the GFS Ensemble at 72 hours before coming ashore somewhere between Cozumel, Cancun to the south down towards Belize as we move towards the Thursday time frame, Thursday into Friday. Obviously, as it interacts with land, that will have a weakening influence on the structure, the circulation of Beryl, but it is expected to move out into the very warm waters of the Bay of Campeche, and it will reorganize and re-strengthen to an extent here. The question mark is how much frictional effect, how much degradation of that's a hard word to say at 5 o'clock in the morning. How much influence does that have in terms of weakening the system as it crosses over the Yucatan? That's going to be the big question. Now, a lot of cross-model agreement shows that this system was a strong Cat 4 borderline Category 5. We know that it's entered Category 5 strength. It is record breaking by as much as 2 weeks in terms of the first Category 5 hurricane on record. You can see here quite a sharp drop off in terms of strength over the next 72 hours. The majority of the models have it back to a Category 2, if not Category 1 hurricane. But that is still obviously a dangerous situation. Whether it's Category 5 or whether it's a Category 1, it can still have deadly implications in any given area that it makes landfall. So you can see here the general model consensus takes it to the south of Jamaica over the next 36 hours or so. Then it continues to track westwards. Now, what is going to be quite interesting is the track. We do have an area of high pressure that is expected to build over the southeastern United States. That should continue to force Beryl westwards towards the Yucatan or towards Belize, and it looks as if that will help keep the system out of harm's way of the United States on the whole. And I would, take your pick. Once it starts to enter the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, a lot of it will depend on the strength of the high over the southeastern United States. So we will have to obviously monitor that situation very carefully. Looking at the GFS, this is the relative humidity, 700 to 300 HPA. You can see here that we have got the system moving through the Caribbean. Pressure does drop, then it picks up once again. There is some filling taking place as it moves to the south of Hispaniola. It may be due to some dry air moving off Hispaniola as that system moves to the south of the island itself. We've got some very, very high mountains in this region. That could be having a detrimental impact on the structure as the circulation moves across these high mountains. It will start to kind of disrupt the structure and the internal aspects of the system. It also may be dragging in some dry air off this island as well. You notice here there's some dry air over central and eastern portions of Cuba. So this is already the reasons behind the weakening, the gradual weakening of Hurricane Beryl. Now, the latest run of the GFS actually takes the system directly over Jamaica, but we will have to wait and see what happens. This is obviously one of many model runs. The majority keeps it to the south of Jamaica, but there is a possibility that this system could directly impact Jamaica. Now, as the high builds and strengthens over the southeastern United States, we are going to see the system that has kind of had a general west and northwesterly track turn more westerly in response to the high over the southeastern United States. And then, as you can see here, the latest run indicates that it moves ashore somewhere to the south of Cancun during the course of late Thursday into early Friday. Then the system crosses over the Yucatan, moves back into the Bay of Campeche. It re-strengthens once again, but not anywhere near the levels that we're seeing at the moment here. And eventually, the GFS indicates that there's actually a bit more of a northward turn at the very end of the model run towards the latter half of the upcoming weekend here. It actually has a landfall somewhere in the South Texas coast here, so we'll need to keep a very close eye on this as we go through the next several days here. But certainly this is a very, very dangerous situation indeed. I thought I would end today's video by showing you this is a close-up view of the eye of Hurricane Beryl, and you can actually see obviously the high cloud tops. This is the core, this is the engine of the storm, so to speak, where you've got the most intense winds within the eye wall, just in the outer edge of the eye itself. That is where you have the strongest winds. But notice the little curls of cloud inside the eye. So that is just showing you the incredible power up close of Beryl. Some interesting tweets here by Phil Klotzbach, based at Colorado State University. Here's a tweet that he says, just bear with me a second, sorry. It's been a long night. Just came off the night shift. So Hurricane Beryl has intensified the Category 5 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 160 miles per hour, the earliest calendar year Atlantic Category 5 hurricane on record. The prior record was Hurricane Emily, set back on the 17th of July, 2005. He also shows this is the location where each Atlantic Category 5 hurricane on record first reached Cat 5 strength. Hurricane Beryl is denoted with the red dot here. So these are the previous early Category 5 developments within the Western Atlantic Basin. He also goes on to say Hurricane Beryl is the 12th Category 5 hurricane in the Eastern Caribbean on record. The other Cat 5s are the Lake Okeechobee 1928, Carol 1953, Innes 1966, David 1979, Allen 1980, Ivan 2004, Dean in 07, Felix in 07, Matthew in 2016, Irma in 2017, and Maria in 2017 as well. And finally, he also shows one of the reasons why Hurricane Beryl has intensified that Cat 5 hurricane over 2 weeks earlier than the other record holder for earliest Cat 5 hurricane is due to the extremely high ocean content levels. Like I said, it's not just the fact that we've got 29 Celsius at the surface, but also the depth of which that 29 Celsius extends below the surface is paramount in terms of optimum fuel and a kind of endless source of energy for the system here. So obviously we're going to continue to look at the Beryl over the next several days. I will do another update with regards to this intensity, etc., etc. But also I'm going to continue to watch this hurricane season unfold. We've got not one, not two, but 3 named storms so far this season. We actually did see the development of Chris very briefly over the Bay of Campeche before it moved during the course of the weekend just gone into Mexico. It did briefly become a named system. So we have already seen Chris come and go. We've got BERYL at the moment, and there is a possibility there's a system to the east of BERYL that may try to develop over the next 24, 36, maybe 48 hours. So we'll need to keep a close eye on that as well. So busy times here at Mark Vogan Weather HQ. I hope you can like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back later on with the European Outlook. Enjoy the rest of your Monday morning and afternoon, and I'll see you later on today. Bye for now.